Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, welcome. We're the Garso Twins. I'm Carly.
And I'm Britta.
Please subscribe and like this video. If you like this content, it helps us know what you guys like, and you won't miss our uploads if you subscribe.
Exactly.
And today we are starting a new series kind of focused on small business tips, tricks, what we've learned.
Advice.
We now own 2 small businesses.
Yes.
So we've learned a ton and we're constantly learning. And I feel like I watched a lot of these videos on YouTube when we were starting our first business, and it's so helpful to hear other people's stories. So
yeah, and you guys know us, like we love makeup, but
I think our most popular videos on our channel are our 5 weekly favorites, which are very lifestyle based. So we have a lot of different interests, and at this point in our lives, I think our main interest is our businesses. So we just would love to like chat with you about it and hear your feedback. Please leave comments below, questions, any other video ideas you have. We'd love to hear from you. First up, we're doing things we wish we knew before starting our small business. So before starting our first business, which is Dyad Candle, which we started in 2019. So let's get into it. Okay, so first, this one is very specific to our business, which we launched with 4 candles. The rest of them won't be specific to candles, but this one is. It was the major lesson, so we wanted to start here, but we learned that we could pour the candles ourselves. So at the time when we launched Dyad, we were both working full-time, and honestly, those jobs were not as time intensive as the job that we had just left. So in retrospect, like we could have given it a shot to pour the candles ourselves, but honestly, we were a little overwhelmed starting the business in general. Like starting a business from scratch when you've never done it before is a little bit daunting. So we had found a manufacturer to work with that was trusted in the industry. We had some shared contacts, and we knew that they could pour our candles for us, but obviously that comes with a price. They did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, we really love him, and he
really did like get our business off the ground, and we're so grateful. They were great to work with, and they did a fantastic job. But looking back, we could have saved so much money by just pouring it ourselves, and we still spend a ton of money. Like we buy very high quality wax, we buy very high quality expensive fragrance oils, so we still spend a lot of money on our candles. But
yeah,
the extra cost to have someone, like the labor of pouring them, was just adding so much to our cog. And so since pouring them ourselves, it's just been so much easier to manage from a just dollar perspective, but also just from a supply chain perspective, because you know, he had plenty of other clients, he was expanding at the time, and so we were not like high on his priority list. Like he was working with some major brands, major retailers that were in Sephora, so they had deadlines to meet, which we didn't, so we understood why our orders weren't prioritized. But definitely it would take months to get an order out from like us placing it, where now we can like way more quickly release new scents, test new scents, because we also would have him pour like our testers with our fragrance oil from the fragrance house, and so it was just really dragging things out. And the MOQ, so minimum order quantity, like all suppliers you work with will have an MOQ, and his was pretty fair, but now like we can, you know, because we're making them ourselves, we have more control over how many we make at a time, because we buy the wax and then we want to distribute it evenly, not evenly, but across the fragrances, which how it makes sense with how quickly they sell, so we don't have a lot of inventory sitting around. So it was like the best thing we've done business wise was make them ourselves.
Yeah,
that's also like if one is selling, which we do have this, one sells like significantly more than the rest, it rotates weirdly, but that's always been the case. And so now we can like make more of that one instead of just going into it blind and being like, oh, fill this much, because we didn't know when we would be able to get more filled, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
So, because of the MOQ, the high cost up front,
and the lead time.
And I will say, the only thing that we were like paying them to do, like we had, we did actually source our vessels through this manufacturer, but we did our boxes ourselves. We were working directly with the fragrance houses on our fragrance oils. So we were really just paying for the labor of them to like pour these candles for us. So it was a pretty easy transition. It wasn't like we had to do all of this up front, like basically like, you know, get our own boxes and kind of start all over. All we did was like basically take that labor on.
Yeah, and pick up all of our inventory.
Yeah. Of packaging and whatnot.
Yeah. Okay, another thing that I think is just so important to be aware of, and we had no idea until we started, but shipping your goods is often so expensive and it really cuts into your margin, your profit margin. And I just think it's good to know that up front. There's really nothing you can do about it unless you want to pass that shipping cost on to the consumer. We feel strongly that we don't want our consumers having to pay a ton in shipping, but we lose cost on both of our brands. We are in the red on shipping. For our candle brand specifically, the candles are very, very heavy. And I think for anyone launching a candle brand, you must know about this because it just skyrockets your shipping costs. And so we mostly use like flat rate USPS boxes to sort of bring that down. But even so, we only charge $7 and
a medium flat rate box is $14.
Yeah, so we know that it's still not even in a good place, and to be like a successful profiting business, we need to improve that. But again, we don't want to pass $14 shipping costs onto our consumers. So trying to figure out other ways we can do that. But I definitely think that would have been something good to know up front.
Just to be prepared. And then maybe, like, obviously this kind of just goes in like what Carly was saying about our costs of goods by taking them in-house and pouring them ourselves to get that down. Like, that does kind of help offset the shipping costs. But eventually we'd like to get to a place where we can figure out a way to do that even more. But being a consumer of candles ourselves, I'm not going to say the brand, but there was a new candle brand that we'd wanted to try. We were like really excited to try these candles, and we went to go buy them, and the shipping cost was outrageous. It was like $17 for one candle, and it was crazy. And it's like, what? That's like half the price of the candle.
Yeah.
And I, like, from a consumer perspective, it made me be like, what? Like, that's wild. So like, we don't want you guys to think that we're charging these outrageous amounts for shipping
and we
either.
don't want, especially being a newer brand, we want people to experience our product. And like Britta said, we didn't order that candle because the shipping was so expensive. Like, the most important thing to us is have people try it. So for now it works, but please be aware. And same thing with our pet brand we just launched. It has been better because we are the shampoo is pretty heavy, but it's not as heavy as the candles. And we have like a smaller box for it. But we notice if anyone orders like over 2, we have to use flat rate as well. And we're only charging $5. So again, the medium flat rates are $14. So whenever that happens, we are losing out on some of the shipping costs. But again, as long as you know this up front and take it into account when setting up your profit margins and how much you want to sell your goods for versus how much they cost, it'll make a huge difference. So definitely look into how much your product is going to be to ship before you launch.
And if you weren't aware of this, USPS gives you those priority mail boxes for free. You just make an account on their website, and you can, like, I made an order today for the small flat rates, because if someone buys one shampoo, I think it's only $8 to ship in the small flat rate, which is, it can vary in our boxes. If we're shipping like to the East Coast, it would be more than $8. So you just go on there. They come in bundles of 10 or 25. So depending on how much storage you have, just order those. They're free, and then it's really like the cheapest option. And I know some people like hate on USPS, but we've never had an issue. If you ship priority, none of our packages have ever gotten lost.
But it comes with insurance, I believe, or some coverage.
It does. It comes with some coverage if you do the priority flat rate. And we schedule a pickup every day. Our mailman picks up our packages. We don't even have to go to the post office. So consider USPS for sure.
One more note on shipping. When we both worked in the beauty industry, this was like 5 years ago, but I managed our 3PL at the brand I worked for, and they were able to bundle like our shipping. They basically had like their own UPS account, and they would bundle a ton of brands under that account, so they would get like better discounts from UPS and like all the carriers, FedEx, all of them. And they had, this is really common for all 3PLs, 3PL like third-party logistics that ship out your orders for you. I will say since then it's gotten far worse as the shipping rates have just gone up with like inflation and everything.
And the price of gas.
Yeah, but I do still think if you're planning on launching with a 3PL and not shipping the orders out yourself, the shipping could be better that way, but then you're paying a ton to have a 3PL. But I did want to mention it because our shipping rates got pretty low for a bit there using that method.
One thing that I guess we just didn't really think about was that you can make changes and pivot in, like, you know, the lifetime of your brand. When we first launched, we kind of overthought everything. Like, we overthought the website. We wanted everything to be perfect, of course, but you can make changes. Like the major change was pouring the candles ourselves. And then for a while, like the reason we didn't launch anything for so long is because we didn't know if we should make more candle scents or if we had wanted to do perfume oils for a long time, but we didn't know if our audience would be receptive to it. And we just overthought everything, and then we decided to launch perfume oils because we felt passionately about it. And as we talked about in other videos, when we sell in person, we sell more perfume oils. So maybe it's like 2 different customer bases for us, but we're glad that we made that decision because it obviously worked out to benefit us in the end. And so you can make changes down the line and you don't have to like stick with one thing.
Yeah, even like our website photography, I've had it on our list forever, which we'll probably work on this soon now that we have more time in the new year. But kind of like changing up our imagery is something I want to do. Like you can always make changes.
Yeah.
So
some brands even get new logos every few
they
years.
redo their branding. We haven't done that because we still love our branding, but you can constantly be like innovating, changing your website, updating your Instagram, like making changes however you see fit, changes with your product. Like don't feel stuck because you launched a certain way or you launched with a certain like assortment. No sweat. You can change it later.
Yeah.
Kind of ties into the last one, but basically like don't put yourself in one box or one like niche. I do think like niche brands are really successful or can be, but for us specifically with our candles, we launched as Dyad Candle, but we also had trademark Dyad fragrance from the beginning because we knew we wanted to be more of like a fragrance brand and we just didn't want to sell candles. And like Britta said, I think at first we went back and forth with that decision, like, oh, I don't know if we should. But then when we did expand to perfume oils, like she said, they are even more popular than our candles when we sell in person, and they've really been a big hit for us. And so if we would have never done that, we would have been missing out on new customers and new sales. So I think it's important to just, if you have an inkling about something, just do it and not worry so much like, oh, I'm a candle brand, I can't do that. Like you can. And just test it out and see how it goes.
Okay, next one is just kind of a checks and balances, pun intended. But hire an accountant to do your taxes as a small business owner. Like we wouldn't even know to begin. Obviously, if you have an accounting background, you do it yourself.
Yeah, to save the money.
Yeah,
also
it's expensive.
QuickBooks. We didn't write this down, but QuickBooks.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely recommend getting QuickBooks. Also a cost. Like it costs us money to use it. But essentially between the QuickBooks and our CPA, our accountant we do our taxes with every year, he makes it such a breeze because he just logs into our QuickBooks.
Yeah.
Can like see all of our business income and expenses throughout the year, and then just does our taxes so easily. And we still do our personal taxes on our own, but he has made it so much easier to just like with the business taxes.
Yeah,
it's so overwhelming. Don't put yourself through that.
Yeah, and we often, like if we have questions, because we are the worst, this is something that I wish we could talk about, but we still don't know what we have to pay when. I asked him specifically for a list because we are almost always late paying something.
Well,
we get a letter in the mail.
Specifically in California, we love California, so I'm never leaving, but there are like a lot of extra taxes.
Yeah.
And they make it beyond confusing. There's no like one portal you can log into to know when to pay things. And so
we get letters in the mail like, oh, this is late, $30 late fee. And I'm like, what?
But we like never got the initial letter.
So I asked him for a list, like, please tell me a list with all the deadlines of like when we need to pay things so we can just log in and do it. And he provided that for me. So like having an accountant is just helpful in several ways and definitely worth the cost. So just do that for yourself. And like Carly said, QuickBooks, when we first started on QuickBooks, it was really just to like categorize all of our expenses as business, personal, etc. Now it's mainly business. Shuffling through the accounts we have linked. But one other thing that we started using it for is invoicing. And in the beginning, like when we've had our photography business, we would just make invoices in like a Google Doc, and doing it all in QuickBooks is so easy. I can't even tell you. And we can toggle back and forth. Like you can edit your company information. So if let's say it's for like a sponsored YouTube video, we'll put it under the Garso Twins LLC. And then if it's for Dyad, like you can change your business information and like add your logo so that it's customized to each vendor. and then you can send it directly through QuickBooks. You can download it as a PDF, and then once it's paid, like through the QuickBooks link, it'll be automatically marked as paid. So you don't have to like follow up because you know what's paid. It tells you like when it's due. It's so seamless to use, you guys. Like, and I think it's only like $15 a month.
We spent significantly less money on this new brand, Clean Coats, versus our original brand, Dyad. And that was for so many reasons. Again, back to the candles and us not pouring them. That was like the largest cost. Our packaging is also extremely expensive for Dyad, which we don't regret. We don't regret anything, but when we were looking back at all of our costs, I think a way we saved a significant amount of money this time was through our photography and also ongoing on Dyad. We've saved money. So basically, originally we spent quite a bit to hire a photographer and do the photos for Dyad. And again, like, no regrets. We love her. She's a friend. She did an amazing job. But we didn't really have like the money to spend at the time. Like, we probably should have scaled back on that. So looking back, I think e-commerce photos are so important, but you can find people that are, you want to pay them fairly for sure, but you can find people that are maybe a little less experienced that will still do a good job for you and go that route. And then also, like, ongoing for Dyad, we've just taken all the photos.
Yeah.
Like when we launch a new scent, since we do have the photography background, we take them, and at first we were like, oh, I don't know if we should do this. We want it to match the level of the initial photos, but again, like, we did a good job. They were fine. They were. So I think like really analyzing your photography fees are super important, and try to keep them lower because you're always going to also have like ongoing needs for photos, which is why we do them internally.
Yeah, and we rent a studio space like in downtown, so we can make sure like the lighting is still like pristine, and there's like the backdrops we want, and they still look elevated. It's just we're doing it ourselves, so we're taking the time to take the photos and edit them rather than hire someone. So even just spending like a couple $100s on a studio rental will just save you way more than hiring a photographer.
Yeah, and then you can batch take all the photos or hire someone that I said like has a little less experience, so maybe is a little more affordable, because photography will add up if you keep hiring like really experienced, amazing photographers throughout the history of your brand. It's going to be in a very expensive expense.
Okay, one thing we just learned, I would say even in like recent months, is that being the face of your brand is really important. I think that TikTok kind of brought that to light because people on TikTok, I feel like, are building their personal brands, and that's what makes people feel connected to you. And for so long with Dyad, like, we weren't really out there. Like, we still aren't good at this, but like, we're never on stories. We never really show like behind the scenes. Like, if we do a photo shoot, we'll do that, but we're never like talking to our customers, except for on our YouTube platform, of course, and because we know a lot of you guys are here, but we need to be better about being like on Instagram, on TikTok, like conversating with our customers, because you mean the world to us, and we like to chat about our products.
Yeah.
And it's just important to build that connection.
Yeah, and I think early on we also were at full-time jobs, so we were like, well, what are we even gonna like talk about now? Now it's like we don't have our full-time jobs, we're focusing on our businesses, so we have the time and energy to do that. But it's definitely like we've started posting TikToks on our Dyad TikTok, talking about our business and giving like tips over there too, and people have really responded well to those, and we haven't really gotten like that good of an engagement until now. So it definitely helps, you know, because you want your customers to feel like you're a real person behind the brand too. You don't want it to just seem like this brand that has like no heart and just they don't stand for anything, or like you want to know their story.
Yeah, so we're still learning that. If you guys have any tips, we're open to them, because we definitely, like Carly said, we started the TikTok series and we really enjoyed it, and they got like a lot of saves and engagement, and so I think it's resonating with people, and we wanted to start this series for kind of a similar reason, but we definitely need to be out there more.
And to just share our knowledge, because like we said, we've gained a ton of knowledge.
Yeah, well, and I guess that also ties into, we started doing a lot more markets after we left our jobs because we have the time, and like meeting our customers in person and being the face of the brand. Like, people like love to like shop from the brand owner, so doing that I think has benefited us a lot.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you loved this video. We have a list going of future business videos we want to film, but please write down below what videos and advice you'd like to see. We are open to anything. Let us know what you want to see.